Sometimes, yeah. I say that a lot sometimes. Sometimes like you just gotta rock an amen. Like some days where we go to work or we do life, or some of us get to be stay-at-home moms, and like we rock it. Yeah, like it was a hard day, and the grocery line was long, and the lady at the gas station cannot put gas right, and we still find it deep down within our soul to do the next right thing, to keep our mouth shut, to not send a text message, to sit in silence, to come home and take 5 minutes before we walk in the house so we don't annihilate somebody with our words. Some days, you just gotta rock an amen. Well, I am stoked that you've decided to come back. You've decided to come back. And which tells me quite a bit. Yeah, it tells me that maybe you're on a search and a hunt for something, that there's been just something missing in your life, that maybe you're gonna find, right? Maybe you're gonna find it through something that I say, or maybe something that I say prompts you to go and look at something else. I'd like to welcome everybody back. Uh, Episode 2 of The Vision Inside, where there's no script, right? Like, I have not written down anything. There's no plan. The only thing that I consciously did with a big amount of intention before hitting this record button was prayer. And I'm not afraid to talk about my prayer life and my spiritual path. And I say that with utmost confidence. I'm not afraid to talk about it, mostly because of where I have come from. And again, if you're not new, and granted, this is just the second episode. In the last one, I got to talk just a little bit about my life, right, and where I had come from, and that is not the entire uh, saga, right, or chapter of that part of my life. Um, I I had just spent so many years in darkness, and I have zero issues talking about the light that shines in and through me. And again, just a little disclaimer that there might be words, right? There might be words that I say that don't agree with you. There might be phrases or certain one liners that I say that might not agree with you. And that's okay. It is okay. That what is causing friction and tension inside of me, or you, I've learned to sit in that uncertainty and sit in that, like, what is she talking about? Why is that rubbing me so in just such a weird way? Like, I've never been rubbed before. Like that really, that caused me to move in my seat, but I just can't stop listening. Like, I wonder, what is that? What is that? And so the thing about prayer and intention, and I haven't sat for the last decade of my life listening to inspirational people, or going and spending time in any kind of silent retreats or any of those things. I have not done any of that. I've been able to sit here in the last 5 years of my life and uh, really throw some seeds in the earth. Yeah, throw some seeds in the earth, and have a lot of effort and a lot of willingness cultivating and sowing those seeds. Yeah, where I'd come from, again, was that life of darkness, right? I had ended up homeless. And again, we're gonna go back to the disclaimer, right? Like, I am just one statistic. Yeah, one statistic of thousands and thousands and thousands of statistics. One of those statistics could possibly be sitting in that other room in your home right now. And I became one of those. Homeless. I had spent a few weeks in jail back in Kauai, and I was doing, again, just sordid things with sordid people in sordid places. And what I was also doing was I was causing worry and just causing all kinds of destruction with the relationships in my life. And so, um, again, there's a lot of in between, and I'm certain that as I get to sit here and share my life with you and talk about different things, that I get to reflect on a lot of those memories in my life, and just really see where grace and forgiveness just really infiltrated my life and my soul, and has caused me to just have a different perspective on life. This thing about prayer and intention, and ultimately the word God, yeah, and I'm not afraid to talk about what God, a higher power, the spirit of the universe, the power of the ocean, the flow of water, the rippling of the leaves, the rock that skips. Nothing is ever the same, and my belief in a power greater than myself is always evolving, and it's always changing. And it was the one thing that I never knew I wanted that saved me. And again, uh, if any of these words you find offensive, and it's like, oh my gosh, she's just some churchy religious person and blah blah blah, like I'm not, and I'm not here to justify to anyone why I am not. I have learned to adopt many beliefs from many facets, and I've got to create my own spiritual path in this world, and so the word God is just really easy. It's easy for me. I don't have to explain to you or anyone that power in my life, which is God. That power that had saved me, and of recent has shown me so much truth about myself via the mirror. Yeah, what a trip. I'm not sure when was the last time you took a look in the mirror and really took a look at yourself into the window of your soul, yeah, which is our eyes, and really sat there and asked yourself maybe some hard questions, like, what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? And going back to the tension, right? And sitting there with that hard look and that hard question, and making a decision to actually do something about it. I remember back in 2020, that 2020 March changed the world, right? Within a blink of an eye, within a day, the whole dynamic of the world changed, and the whole dynamic of my world changed as well. Within this white picket fence and the four walls of my home, my whole life and my existence was rocked, and I had no idea where I was going, and I was sitting in such spiritual darkness. I didn't know that I needed a higher power, but I was certain that I didn't want what I had either. And so I started this thing, right? Like I started sitting and just praying a prayer, and it's really simple. And if you're listening to this podcast, by all means, fill in the blank, right? Like I talk to a lot of friends, and I have quite a few friends. I have quite a few, and I'm very grateful for all of you. We hear it a lot. They hear me say it a lot. That just fill in the blank. So the prayer goes, God, please set aside everything that I think I know about myself, my brokenness, my spiritual path in you, for the true gift of an open mind and a new experience with myself, my brokenness, my spiritual path, and especially you, God. And sometimes you just gotta rock an amen. And I started praying that prayer, and my life, maybe not my life, my attitude on life started to shift. And it started to shift because what that did was that prayer invited reality. It invited reality into my life. And I had no idea that I was also taking reality for granted. I still have a really good job. I work for the United States Army here on Schofield Barracks, and I've been married for now over a decade, and we have three amazing children and an amazing dog. And I was just so spiritually empty. And I didn't know that I wanted to be spiritually filled until I had realized that I wanted to be spiritually filled. And I didn't know what that prayer had entailed for me. But again, I absolutely knew that I didn't want what I had at that moment in time, which was a lot of anger and was a lot of darkness. And I had already been away from the physical alcohol and the physical drugs for quite a few years already. And there's more to life than just the job. And there's more to life than just the family. If I think for 1 second, right, for just 1 second, that my purpose and my plan here on this earth is to have a career or to just be a mom and a wife, like, I am so selling myself short. I am poorly mistaken. That my purpose here on this earth is to help somebody. And I that was brought to my attention. And I knew deep down inside of me, it's just something that I didn't want to acknowledge. It was brought to my attention a few years ago. So I start praying this prayer, and there was a shift in consciousness, right? I also realized that I was also, I don't know, I guess you could say, living in a delusion. Yeah, I was asleep. And praying that prayer for God to set aside everything that I think I know, right? All of my intellect. At that time, my 41 years of existence on this earth, set all of that aside for a new experience. And the crazy thing, about believing in God and believing in spirit and believing in the creative intelligence, the flow of water, whatever that is for you, believing in that power and that mystery, I truly don't know what I was praying for. And still today, that prayer and many other prayers are a part of my soul and my being. I never really truly know what I'm praying for. And so reality starts to set in. And I finally hear the kids talking back. I finally see that there are other people in my home, because I was absolutely dismissive. Right? I was just operating. Everything was rote. Go to work, come home, shower, eat, get the kids ready for school. Just all the things that comes with being a mom and being a wife, and just showing up and just doing. Right? Like, oh my gosh, like, here we go again, gotta wash the dishes, and all the things that come with that. There was really no joy or purpose in any of that. So, again, reality starts shifting, and my attitude starts to shift, and I start to see, and I start to smell, and I start to hear what's really going on in my life. And the voices, right? The voices inside my head are so loud. Just the fear and the thoughts of inadequacy. Like, you're a shitty mom. Like, you really suck at your job. And you're a poor example of a wife. You're a horrible boss. Like, I have never ever sat with those thoughts and contemplated what they are, or even let alone trying to figure out a solution to stop thinking so poorly of myself. And that's an interesting place to be. I tell you what, it is an interesting place to be in such darkness spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. It is a very interesting place to be. That jumping off place is where we hear about our friends committing suicide. We hear about people who go missing. We hear about so and so is in the ER again with liver failure, absolutely jaundice. That's where we hear about EMS getting called because somebody is ODing with drugs. That's the newspaper article we read about domestic violence 2 houses down. And a lot of times we just don't know. We just don't know that people like me and the person in the other room right next to where you are listening to this, somebody is suffering in silence. And we're so seasoned, right? We're so seasoned to just, it's not my business. It's just not my business. Like, don't say anything. And when it's all said and done, right? Like, this person is no longer on this earth and there's no closure. Now we say something. Like, like that tension that is being struck, which is really my pride. I sit in that tension of an unanswered question. And that's when prayer is so powerful. When I am so desperate for an answer. I am so, so desperate. And when I had learned that prayer and I started to make it a part of my daily life, and eventually build and cultivate a spiritual practice, again, my attitude started to change. And attitude, yes, the context of my words, how I look at life, started being grateful for my job. But attitude in the sense of like sailing, right? Attitude in the nautical sense where I shift, right? I shift my feet and my face and my hands and my body in such a manner that the wind and the sun and the rain just hits me just a little bit different. Where I stop doing things in my life so rote and I just shift. I shift 2 inches to the right. And now where it used to be so dark, there is some sunshine on my face and I can actually feel the rain and see the rainbow. And then came the glimpse of hope. There came a glimpse of hope. And what that prayer had done for me was it opened my eyes. Hey, again, it opened my eyes to see reality and actually to start being present and participate in my reality. And how often, right? I don't know if you've ever found yourself just, sitting at home and you're there, but you're not. Like I'm a wife, but I'm not. Like I'm a mom, but I'm not. I'm just so dismissive and so distant because my heart, right? My heart was so calloused. It was so calloused from conforming to the norm. I had shared that in the previous episode that I don't want to conform to the norm of society, of being who you think I should be as a fill in the blank, a mother, a boss, a sister. I don't want to conform to any of that. I've been given such a freedom to be able to believe in all kinds of thoughts and practices to build and cultivate, again, my own spiritual path. And don't get me wrong, you guys, I believe in a lot of things. I believe in a lot of things that people might say is against, right, what they believe. And I'm here to tell you that I'm not here to believe what you believe. I'm here to believe in what I believe and walk in light of what I believe. I believe. And that has given me so much freedom, so much joy, so much love and depth in the relationships that I have today. It has given me a God confidence that the only way that it can be shaken or taken is if I give it away. I give that power to a human. I give that power to money. I give that power to shopping. I give that power to food. And I just don't want to. You know, something else and another gift, and there's just been so many gifts. And the power of prayer is that I've been gifted and given a choice. A choice. Wow. Something that I took for granted for so long. And sometimes I still do. Sometimes I still do take my life for granted. And being able to, have that opportunity to choose. And it's an opportunity, right? Like I'm not entitled. I'm not entitled to the next 10 minutes of my life. I'm not entitled to tomorrow. I'm not entitled to anything. Before I came into this world, everything was given and gifted to me. So for me to think that any of this is mine is it's a pretty selfish thought. So I get the opportunity to choose what I do with my life today. And I get to choose who I surround myself with today. And what I do with my free time. And it's not even mine either, right? Like I was gifted and granted this thing called time. And the God of my understanding doesn't exist in this realm of time, right? Like time is created for me. And people have been placed in my path. And you, whoever you are, and whoever God has put in my path, you have been placed in that period of time for me. Perhaps I have been placed in this period of time for you. And how powerful is that? Like I'm just some chick from Kauai. Yeah, I'm born and raised on this tiny island. I went and ran my life into the ground. I am a product of rehab and jail, right? Like the bare beginnings, the humble beginnings. I am just so grateful to be here today. And if I am that person that has been placed in your path, or maybe you're the person listening that has been placed in mine, that's going to give that person in the next room. Or maybe you're just going to play it, hopefully hoping that maybe they're in an earshot of hearing what's coming through this microphone. Then it's all a divine appointment. And I love that. I absolutely love that. That everyone that I get to, and it's a privilege, that I get to come across today. The lady that we help put the wagon away. The groceries that we help someone else unload into their car. The homeless person sitting outside a 7-Eleven. The one we walk past every time and they ask us for change, and then we act like we ignore it, right? We act like they're not even standing there. That person. That is the one we're supposed to help. And every time I deny that opportunity to help somebody else, I'm saying no to this gift inside of me that was there before I was even born. It is this innate thing inside of me, the draw, the thing that is leading me. It's to help somebody. It is to help somebody. I really believe that as humans, I believe this for myself, that I am not meant to do life by myself. And I'm not meaning that I should be married or have a girlfriend or boyfriend or any of that stuff. I'm not meant to do life by myself. That you have been placed in my path to show me that there is something inside of me that I'm meant to do something else with my life. I am not meant to be alone. I'm supposed to have friends that irritate me. I'm supposed to have friends that bring absolute joy to my life. I'm supposed to have friends who struggle. And it's the same. The other side of the coin is that you are supposed to have someone like me in your life too, who can share the heartache, who can share the tears, who can tell you that sometimes I don't know how to stick my hand out. Sometimes I need you to just come and sit in the mud. Like I don't need you to fix me or help me or make a phone call for me. I just need you to come and sit down and hold my hand. And at some point, I'm going to get up, or you're going to get up. And my hand's going to be there reaching for you. And that's it, right? Let's go. Let's do something about those thoughts in your head that are so loud, right? And that's what somebody did for me. Someone helped me get up out of the quicksand. And someone else helped to show me how to pray that prayer. So if, you're still there, right? You're still there. Episode 2 of The Vision Inside. You're still there listening. I am so grateful for you. If no one told you today, if no one's ever told you that they are proud of you, I'm proud of you. And I love that you're still listening, that you found some kind of grace in listening, that maybe you'll take something from this podcast and apply it in your life. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that you've decided. I'm so grateful that I have decided to look beyond the fear. Yeah, just don't get me wrong. There is fear, right? There's the fear of looking dumb. There's the fear of sounding dumb. There's the fear of inadequacy. There's the fear of letting myself down. There's all of that. And before hitting the record button tonight, I stood at the edge of my patio and I prayed that prayer. And I sat down and I hit the record button. And here we are. Here we are. So, I think we're gonna call it for tonight. And again, I'm really grateful that you've decided to just sit and take a minute and listen. My name is Delori Gomes, and thank you for joining me tonight on The Vision Inside.